NFL Week 11 best bets. In this video, we go through every single game on Sunday. Monday Night Football, give you your favorite side, total, in every single game. No skips. Every game is timestamped down below in case you want to jump around. As always, my name is Austin. I'm joined by Logan. Logan, it is good to see you. We have to recap last week, and man, I swear this is not a typo. We both went 6-7. Just tragic. Just cue the meme if you really want to. Not a good week though for us. We need to do better than 6-7, both about 53% hit rate. And our best bets of the week, we both went 1-1. Now I'd argue you deserve to go 2-0. For mine, I was able to cash Carolina team total under. That was literally easiest bet of weekend. Worst bet of weekend was the over on Sunday Night Football. You cashed Eagles +3, but you lost Patriots team total under. Travion Henderson, if he just goes down and doesn't go into the end zone at the end, you win. But that is a tough one. That is how it be. Either way, Logan, we're bouncing back this week. We got 4 best bets. If we go 4-0 on them, we're doing a $100 giveaway. All you got to do is go down below, comment your Super Bowl prediction. Whatever you want, drop a like and comment that, and we'll pick out one random comment if Logan and I can go 4-0 in our best bets of the week. Now, as always, we do post other picks, our props and parlays. Those are the ones that we're putting our money on. You get those all in the Dub Club if you want to. The ones that have yielded 28, not 29 units of profit so far this season. It's been a great year for us. Again, you can join the Dub Club if you want to get all the official plays that we're putting our own money on. Ping to your phone, 50% off with the link down below. Now, Logan, I feel like last year, and we can bring into the first game, I feel like last year, props I had negative luck on, but I had so much luck on the game picks, which we don't even track towards a record besides this video. I feel like I've completely inversed that, which I guess in hindsight's not the worst thing in the world, but either way, we need to do, let's have both going at the same time. And let's start with our first game of the weekend. We head out to Madrid for the first ever game in Spain. And man, they gave them a Super Bowl preview, baby. You have the Commanders taking on the Dolphins. Just what did Spain do to us to just throw out that? But this game looks nasty. But Logan, we have to bet it. That's the rule of the video. We have to give out a pick for every single game. What are you doing in this one?
Yeah, so I mean, you could have argued that both these two teams had some Super Bowl aspirations preseason. Now that you know how they've fallen, I'm gonna roll with the Dolphins here. I'll lay the points with the Dolphins. I just like the angle that they're trending, which is up. They're coming off a big motivating win against Buffalo. Buffalo was. This is what happens when you have divisional games and you play with your food. You let the teams have hope, and then what do you know? They look up at the scoreboard. They have a huge deficit that they can't overcome. All the credit goes to Miami in that game. They had a great game plan. I think Washington's defense is terrible. They've got to be a bottom 5 unit in the league. Just injuries really got to them. And I swear, if I try to see old man Bobby Wagner trying to guard anybody in this day and age, it just doesn't work. That's why I'm rolling with the Dolphins. I think offensively they're just a little bit too much. Without Jaden Daniels, like where do you turn to in this Washington offense? I have no answers there.
Yeah, you're not kidding. I mean, it felt like they were a high school defense against the Lions last week. But not that I'm on the other side of you. I did tell you pre-show I have given up on totals. You won't see a single over-under for the full game. I think I went 0-6 on those. So if you think about Austin, he was dialed in on non-totals. I mean, heck, I was 6-1 on non-totals. So I'll be on team totals or I will be on spreads. And this was my first one. I'm actually on the Commanders team total over 22.5. I'm still bought in on this offense, knowing what they're doing. And that Dolphins team is totally, fully capable of laying an egg. After coming off a big game where they just looked, I mean, they really just destroyed Josh Allen and company. I mean, I don't know how they did it. It felt like the Buffalo Bills just kind of overlooked the Dolphins and they kind of punched them in the mouth. And I can't get there backing the Commanders defense. As you talk about, that defense sucks. And while you could say maybe you go the full game over, I think that at least the Commanders can put up the points here. Marcus Mariota, company, maybe. I don't think Terry McLaurin's back either, but I think they find a way to get 23. That Miami defense is not good. They looked all right. I'll take the Commanders. It might be a dono to start the week, but let's move on to our second game. We actually have a big game. We have the Buccaneers taking on the Bills. The Bills 5.5-point favorites, over under at 47.5. Logan, if I were taking totals, I'd be on the over for this game, but I'm curious what you like for this one.
Yeah, I do like the Bills in this spot. A little bit of a bounce back. Again, we mentioned last week. They overlooked the Dolphins. Dolphins coming in that game. Just that they looked like they thought it was just a free divisional win, and those just don't exist, especially on the road. Now they're back in Orchard Park against the Bucs team that I just think is still not yet fully there on offense, and it makes sense. You know, you're down several weapons. It just there's not enough good blocking for Baker to not enough's talked about the Bucs offensive line. I think they're taking a big step back this year. Obviously, injuries are a part of it. But again, this Bucks offense, I just don't think is going to be able to go blow for blow with Josh Allen, a refocused Bills team. Because you lose a game like that, it's like now they're going to be taking practice a lot more seriously, and the fact that they're back at home and the weather is getting a little bit chillier here up in the north, I will tell you. So is Tampa Bay really excited to go play in a colder Buffalo atmosphere? Maybe not. Maybe that is a small factor in this one, but give me the Bills and I'll lay them with the points.
I'll be on the Bills with you as well. They feel like this feels like a game just like that 49ers and Rams game last week, where you could have said, I can get the 49ers, a really good team. I can get them plus a field goal, plus the hook. That's got to be a bet you got to take. And I feel like everyone's still right there with the Buccaneers. They don't want to lay this many points with the team that's just lost to the Dolphins. And while the Bucks did not look great on Sunday, I think you got that motivation factor for the Bills playing at home here. It just feels like when they're at home, they cover. And I think they'll be able to cover here. Maybe it's a tight game, but even if it's a tight game, like heck, that Ravens and Vikings game was tight, and they still won that one by 7+ points. That could be this sort of thing where maybe something at the end of the game, Josh Allen makes a play, or maybe they score and kind of push themselves over the spread. So I'm agreeing with you. The Bucks just don't look good. They just don't. And if Todd Bowles wants to blitz the heck out of Josh Allen, good luck, because I don't think that's going to work all too well. We're both on the Bills. Let's see how that goes. Our next game actually is, Logan, the site of my first best bet of the week. We will each have two. So I will let you talk about the Packers versus Giants game. Right now, I'm looking at the Packers for 6.5, 7-point favorites. The over under 43.5. If we had to guess, which we record this Tuesday evening, doesn't appear Jackson Dart's going to be playing. He did leave for concussion protocol. They fired Brian Dable. Just feels like a guy like Dart, we're not rushing back into this game, but I guess time will tell. But Logan, I'll talk about the game at the end of the video. What do you like for this one?
Yeah, I mean, we've talked about the Packers. I think I said weeks ago, it feels like years ago, that this Packers team's overrated. And I think people finally understood my take now when I said first few weeks of the season, they look like an NFC juggernaut. And now the wheels have fallen off because who is Jordan Love really throwing to? I'm going to need you to find a line for me real quick. I like the first half under in this game. Again, I think it's going to take a lot of time for each of these two offenses to gel. Maybe the points come in the second half. But in the first half, this is again where the Packers or their defense really limits teams. You saw that Eagles Packers game was an absolute pillow fight through in the first half, and I think we see similar game flow, especially with a banged up Russell Wilson or banged up Giants offense, potentially with Russell Wilson at the helm. That guy can't throw more than 20 yards. I'm convinced they won't let him throw more than 20 yards. I like the first half under. Again, you can kind of tell me what my line is going to be on that one though.
Yeah, it is 22.5, although the
Okay.
people would have already seen that on the screen. First half
No.
under 22.5. I'll talk about that game at the end of the video. It's one of my two best bets of the week. Our next one, we have an AFC South battle between the Texans and the Titans. Texans, 7-point favorites, over under at 39.5. Logan, man, is it time? Do we get sharp on the Titans? They're coming off their bye. Right, Cam Ward certainly can't look that bad after the bye. What are you feeling here, man? I'm letting you go first because, good Lord, I don't know what I'm doing.
Yeah, you know what? In a divisional game, laying a touchdown on the road, I'm going to go ahead and take the home underdogs in this one. We saw it last week with Buffalo going on the road against a hungrier Dolphins team, I guess. I think this Titans team coming off a bye could be hungry in this spot. Maybe just an overlooked spot for Houston. Maybe it's one of those games that it's like it's a one-score game in the fourth quarter, and Tennessee ties it up. And then it's just, can we get a push at worst? Because the line's 7, I'll take my chances with a touchdown in this one. I still think this Titans offense has some guys. Chamir DK, Gators, go Gators. He's given them a little bit of life. Alec Iomanor, he's been all right as well. Again, not household names on this Tennessee offense, but guys that can sneaky get it done. And again, this Houston offense, a miracle comeback against Jacksonville last week. You gotta call it what it is. If you mess around like that on the road against a team coming off their bye week, that could spell trouble. I could see them even losing this game outright. So I've talked myself into it. I like Tennessee plus the points.
Yeah, I honestly hate it, but I'm gonna be back and with you, but not in the same capacity. I'm on the Texans team total under 23.5. I can't get there with the or Titans offense being able to do anything. But you're right, the Texans offense. Who knows if it's CJ Stroud or Davis Mills back under center? But they needed a miracle to put up a ton of points, 26-0 in that fourth quarter versus the Jags. And this does feel like a spot that the Texans coming off that miracle victory. I'm looking at their schedule. This is totally a game they overlook. Look at their schedule the next 3 weeks. I don't think they have a bye in here. They have the Bills, I think, on Thursday Night Football next week. They have the Colts and they have the Chiefs. So these are 3 games that they're going to be underdogs for all 3 of those. 3 games they're overlooking this Titans team, and they're just going to be like, all right, we'll just get an easy win. And then next thing you know, you look up in the fourth quarter and it's like 17-10 Titans. You're like, oh, good Lord, you're going to lose again? Maybe they pull it out at the end, but the first time they played these 2 teams, they didn't score. They had 6 points going in the fourth quarter. They had a miracle 20 points in that fourth. I don't think it's happening here. I love their team total under 23.5. I'm agreeing with you. I do like the Titans, but I can't get there. Coming off a bye, hopefully their defense is rested up and a little bit more motivated. Speaking of defense, that's not what you'll find from one of these 2 teams in our next matchup, as with the Bengals taking on the Steelers. Now, it did just get reported Joe Burrow is going to be back soon, but definitely not for this game, as this game has a team over under 48.5. The Steelers coming off a nasty loss on Sunday Night Football. Their offense sucked until really the whole game. They sucked. Pittsburgh, though, 5.5-point favorites, so they're thinking there's a bounce back here in Pittsburgh. But Logan, what are you feeling here?
Oof. Last time we saw the Steelers offense, it just happened to be on primetime, and all of America said, I've seen enough, old man. I don't want you on my TV anymore. That being said, I will be on the under in this game. I know when these 2 teams faced off on Thursday night, there was 1,000,000 points scored. No defense, 0 defense was played. That was the first matchup between these 2 teams when it was in Cincinnati, and it was a short week. I'd argue the defenses in that game were just simply unprepared to play. Now you have a couple factors working, I think, in favor of the under. Number one, the fact that there's film out on each of these offenses. So now Pittsburgh knows how to game plan a little bit for Joe Flacco and vice versa for the Bengals. Now, I know their secondary is bad, but they can't be any worse than they were last week. And then the other one is this Steelers offense really doesn't have any guys. I mean, outside of DK Metcalf, I don't know really where Aaron Rodgers wants to throw the ball. I saw so much frustration when he threw it to Calvin Austin. It was like a third and medium right off of his hands. And Aaron Rodgers just looks at the sideline like, I have nobody to throw to. And so I think schematically this Bengals defense can game plan a little bit better for Pittsburgh the second time around. So I just think it's going to be an under type game. Maybe Pittsburgh grinds it out, but I don't want any part of that Pittsburgh offense.
Yeah, I was going to be on the under with you, but again, I've sworn off totals. I'll be on the Steelers minus the points. I'm just not. I think the Steelers defense is finally starting to turn around. I don't know if it was them throwing Jalen Ramsey as a safety, which honestly is working out well because that guy couldn't guard anyone. So put him out as a safety. He can tackle. He can make plays. They've looked actually pretty good, and they did a great job against the Chargers. It's just that the offense was abysmal. I mean, it was they didn't do anything. I mean, I'm going to go pull up their stats for how bad it was. We all know we had Rodgers for 150 pass yards, 11 first downs, 2 for 11 on for third down, 0 for 1 on fourth. It just, I mean, 3 turnovers, just a disaster of a game. I think they're better than this Bengals team. I think this Bengals team, people are like, ooh, they're getting Burrow back. It won't help. They're going to start just reeling here. They're going to start losing. I think they get smoked here. I have no faith in that. I think if they do not double team Jamar Chase, I'm going to crash out. I am, because the first time these 2 teams played, like they never heard of the guy. So I'd be shocked if that happens again. Their defense is playing better. And if you take away Jamar Chase from Joe Flacco, I don't know what the hell he's doing. He's like, he doesn't know what to do. It's like, it's him or the highway. It's him or chucking it up to T. Higgins and praying for a miracle. I love the Steelers. I also like your under, though, as well. All right, Logan, next game of the week. It's your team. Panthers taking on the Falcons. Your Panthers laid an egg on last Sunday. But here you have some redemption, divisional matchup, plus 3.5, over under at 42.5. I will let the people know right now I'll be on your Panthers plus 3.5. But I want to know the state of Panthers Nation before I talk about why.
You know what's funny that you ask about that is we know earlier in the last week the Meow Mix podcast was rumored to come back, and all of Panthers Nation was like, no, sit where you're at. We're finally winning without you guys. And then we lay an absolute egg to the Saints, and everyone's like, it's still Meow Mix podcast threatening to come back. That's what threw them off. But really, what threw off the Panthers is they got complacent. This team was feeling themselves. They thought they were so much better than they were. They thought, oh, playing at home, we're just going to roll against the Saints. Anything but that. Bryce Young looked so bad in that game. And that's why I'm going to be on the Panthers in this one. It's because I know this team is such a seesaw type thing. They have one good week, and then it's a dud. And then it's back to good Panthers and bad Panthers. So rather than just like, go on the wrong side of the pendulum and overreact to what I saw last week, I think they're going to play Atlanta really tough in this one. And the Falcons, as an offense, really, they don't threaten me all that much. I mentioned in the red zone, I just don't think there's that much consistency. Now, last week, playing overseas, they showed up and they played tough with with Indianapolis. But again, in this divisional game, I think Bryce Young and the boys are going to be playing so much better than they were last week. That Carolina defense is still elite. They held them in that game, for as long as they could, and they just couldn't make the stops down late. I still like the Panthers plus the points. The fact that I can get the field goal plus the hook, I think that's a great value.
Yeah, like I said, I'm on the Panthers with you as well. For all the reasons you said, they obviously beat the Falcons earlier this year, 30-0. Not that I read into that a ton. Like, oh, that happened once, it's going to happen again. But Bryce Young and the whole team has talked about how they just kind of got complacent. You said it yourself. I think they're better, just as good as this Falcons team. The Falcons just can't convert really in the red zone. I mean, they were able to get some Algier touchdowns, but it's either like they run it in or it's Drake London. If they go any other way, it does not happen. And so if you just guard those two guys, which is kind of what the Panthers defense has been doing, a lot of bend, don't break, don't give up the big plays. And we just saw this Falcons defense. They struggled to stop Jonathan Taylor. I mean, he had a career day against them. If we know the Panthers' identity is running the football, and if you're struggling to stop Jonathan Taylor, here comes Rico Dowdle, who's been running it hard. Although last week not the best week for him, but again, I feel like that came down to preparation. You don't think they're going to be prepared for a matchup in the division, a big game for two teams battling for playoff positions. Obviously, the Falcons have kind of reeled a little bit here, but it's not like their season's over. It could easily kickstart with a win here. I think it's a tight game, one of those NFC South. Comes down to the final field goal. I love getting the Panthers plus the points. Our next game, though, Logan, word on the street, is the site of your first best bet. So we'll let you talk about the Bears and Vikings game at the end of this one. But right now, you're looking at the Vikings as 2.5-point favorites. The over-under at 48.5. I really wanted to take an over here because I got burned on the over in the last game. But like I said, I've sworn off totals for at least 1 week to see how I do. And so I'm actually going to take the Vikings on the team total over. I'm going to I'll put the number up on the screen. I'd imagine it's in the mid 20s, 23.5, 24.5 is what 25.5 is what I'm looking at. I think JJ McCarthy finally gets going here. He missed actually, if I could add a play, add Justin Jefferson's over to my card, add that to my card. That'll probably be on I don't know what his line will be, but good man. JJ McCarthy missed him so many times, and the Bears don't have a single person that can hang with him. So Justin Jefferson, don't be surprised when he's on my regular card for props. Just keep the line low, please. I think he torches them. I think the Vikings put up a ton of points. And I'm just not sold on this Bears offense. I feel like they always get a little bit too cute here. But I think the Vikings steamroll, put up a ton of points. I love their team total over 25.5. But Logan, you can talk about that one at the end of the video, your first best bet. Our next one, we have a matchup of a divisional a comeback, playoff comeback from years past, as the Chargers take on the Jacksonville Jaguars. The site of that, what was that game like? 30-0 or something stupid like that,
Crazy.
where the Jags came back, beat the Chargers in the playoffs. Well, now they have some redemption coming to Jacksonville, the scene of the crime. But Logan, what do you feel on this one?
Yeah, I'm rolling with the Chargers, and I'll lay the points with the road favorite. Now I understand Chargers kind of a dicey team, kind of a hard team to figure out, I think. But I know what the Jaguars are, and they're trash. I've said it. You have to. There's certain teams in the NFL that you have to put a line in the sand and say, I won't back this team because you can't trust them week in and week out. And I think that's Trevor Lawrence and this Jaguars team. Liam Cohen, he looks so pissed off after that game, and rightfully so, because you had to really, really try to blow that game, and the Jaguars did everything they can late to blow that game. And that hangover and that funk will carry over a little bit into this game, because now the Chargers defense is really playing up to the caliber that you and I probably expected them. Earlier in the season, they looked great. Then they kind of tapered off a little bit, but I think they're now still playing an elite. Their pass rushers are really dialed in right now. So I love to see that. And I think that presents all sorts of problems for Trevor Lawrence, a guy that a third and long, Trevor Lawrence is looking for a 25, 30-yard bomb. It doesn't make any sense. He never takes what the defense gives him. He's always trying to make way too much happen. And that's sort of bit him in his whole career. I mean, just look at his career as a whole. That guy is just not a trustworthy quarterback. Give me the Chargers. I'll have the points with them.
Yeah, I've been going back and forth on this game because it could be a spot where the Chargers won 3 in a row. They have this game. They go into their bye week next week. This could just be a game they drop just because it's the NFL. You get a little bit complacent. You're like, all right, we won 3 in a row. We're almost at our bye week. Already making plans and stuff for your days off. But the Jags are also a team that I'm just so far out on. So I'll take the Chargers with you, but I really don't love it. But for all the things you said, Trevor Lawrence is now my guy to back. And when they get in the red zone, I just don't know what the heck they're doing. They're down Brian Thomas Jr. Obviously hasn't been good this season. We know that. We'll see if he returns for this week. But I think other than that, Jacoby Myers, maybe they get Brenton Strange back this week, but no Travis Hunter for the rest of the season. Parker Washington is kind of running out there. I can't, for all the reasons you said, I can't do it. I can't. If you had Jags last week, you should ask for a refund from the Bucs. See if they give you that, because that was when Red Zone stopped showing your games until there's just a random touchdown. Like, oh, by the way, this happened. That's when you know you should have had an easy dub, and they just choked the game so far away. And the Red Zone was like, oh, by the way, Hanson, we need to bring this game back up. Just bad. I can't back you then. That's unbackable for at least a week. Our next game, Logan, is the site of my second best bet. It is one of the more intriguing matchups for week 11 as you have the Seahawks taking on the Rams. These two teams, it feels like you load up. If you're accidentally are late to watching the games, you're like, the Seahawks are already up 28-0, so you can turn off their game. And then the Rams will just keep scoring touchdowns left and right. But I'll talk about the game at the end of the video. You guys know it's not going to be a total, so I'm going to be on a side. About Logan, what do you like here?
Yeah, I was kind of going back and forth in this game because I would lean the Rams minus the points because I think they're the better football team playing at home, but this could be a trappy spot. Again, I could see this game really going either way. So I'm actually going to be on the under. You mentioned last week both these two teams, incredibly hot starts. I'd argue way too efficient in terms of scoring touchdowns last week. So law of averages kind of plays out in football, and I'll take the under. Just because there were so many explosive, quick strike, just instant touchdown plays. I mean, you could talk about the Seahawks defense. I mean, they had, what was 2 defensive touchdowns? That's an anomaly right there in itself. And the Rams defense is so much better than what the Cardinals threw at Sam Darnold and the Seahawks last week. Again, Jackson Smith and Jigba is great, but outside of him, I still question, a lot of that offensive production for Seattle. And then again, the Matt Stafford's been great, but he's facing a pretty tough secondary in the Seahawks. So I love the under in that one. I just think it's the better angle rather than trying to predict which team's really going to show up in this one.
No, I agree with you. I won't be fading you or tailing you because I will be on a game pick for that game. We'll talk about that at the end of the video. But Logan, let's keep rolling along as we have the Cardinals you just talked about and the other NFC West teams. As we have the 49ers here. 49ers 2.5-point favorites over under 48.5. Today I learned I didn't know this. 49ers lead the league in passing. Would I had no idea, but they lead the league in passing yards per game. Interesting. That's not what the people are here for, though, Logan. They're here for a pick. What do you like in this one? This one's a tricky one.
Of course, you make me go first in a game that I really
I can go first. I can go first if you want.
Yeah. Let me hear what you're rolling with first. Let me hear.
I'm gonna be on the 49ers minus the points.
Mm.
I think Shanahan's a better coach than the Cardinals coach, and I think the Jacoby Brissett kind of magic's kind of starting to roll out. It's like he just really targets Trey McBride every possession. And sure, when they faced the Cowboys, it looked really good, but again, that was the Cowboys. They can't guard anyone. I just think Kyle Shanahan is too good of a coach to lose back-to-back here. CMC, Brian Robinson's also been running the ball really well. It was the defense that didn't look great last week against the Rams, but I think they're able to sharpen some things up here in a divisional matchup. I'll have to pull up the stats of what the record is between these two teams as of, of recently, but I feel like it's every single time I look at it, it's always the 49ers winning those games. I mean, you look at the last 7, they've won 5 of 7. So I'll take them. I'll take them minus. Do I have to take minus 2.5? That's fine with me. I think they win this one by at least a field goal. What do you like?
I'm glad you went first because I'm just gonna fade you. Oh, I'll take the Cardinals plus the points. Yeah. It's just one of those spots that I like this pick about a 2 out of 10. So again, for what it's worth, I just think all of your points make so much sense, which is why I think this Cardinals team shows up in a big way. I still believe in the Jacoby Brissett experiment. I think there's enough offensive firepower on the Cardinals side. Just last week was just a crazy anomaly. He was the defenders were in Brissett's face before he even took 3 steps back, and that's how you result in some weird defensive touchdowns. This Niners defense is kind of they're showing the little bit of wear and tear that I kind of questioned. Missing guys like Fred Warner, etc. When was it going to finally catch up to them? It did last week. And on the road in this spot in Arizona, where the Cardinals are notoriously better, they're a way better home team than they are on the road. I think this Cardinals team can show up, and I think they can win this game. If you're giving me a few points in a home underdog in a divisional game, I'll take it.
Yeah, I can't disagree with you. I don't really love the 49ers, but we'll see how it goes. A little battle there between Logan and I. Our next game, we have the Ravens taking on the Browns. The Ravens are 7.5 point favorites here. The over under at 39.5. I won't overcomplicate things. I'm taking the Ravens minus the points. Um, if you lose to the Jets, you've lost all my respect. Those are the rules. And they lost the dang Jets. The Jets completed 6 passes for like 54 yards, and 50 of them came on a screen pass. The Browns giving up return TDs left and right. Like, nope. I think that's the nail in the coffin where it's like they just look at Dylan Gabriel and they're like, yeah, no, we're just done. And here comes Lamar Jackson and company taking on. I get it. You can try to get sharp and take the Browns, and maybe it looks good. But there's also a chance in a world in which you take the Browns and they're down 25 points, and you're like, why the hell am I getting sharp? Because just trusted Lamar Jackson and company. Last few games they've played, last 2 times, Ravens won by 25 and 24. I mean, they did lose in Cleveland last year. It ain't happening this year. I'll pick the Ravens. I just can't get sharp. I just can't do it. But Logan, what do you like? You want to get sharp with them?
No, I don't want to get sharp, and I'm not fading you. I'm rolling with the Ravens with you. I really just can't get there with Cleveland, and I know you could say that's a lot of points for a home underdog, and I agree. In a divisional game like this, it might look like a lot of points on paper. It's just it's not a team that I feel comfortable backing. That Jets team could not could not complete passes. They Justin Fields was doing nothing on offense, and the Jets still won that game. Like, let that sink in. Obviously, they made plays on special teams, but this Ravens offense is so much better than what they saw last week. And again, I kind of liked what I saw from the Ravens defense. Turning JJ McCarthy over was big, because to go into Minnesota and win a game like that, that's a little bit of a momentum builder on the road, because that's not an easy place to play, and that's not an easy offense to necessarily stop. You know what is an easier offense? Dylan Gabriel, rookie quarterback, and not an explosive offense at all. So I'll take the Ravens minus the points. Don't care if it's a trap. I can't get there with Cleveland.
Yeah, that we just sometimes you can get sharp, sometimes you can't. Our next game, another big game. Chiefs taking on the Broncos. Now, when I look at this game, the Chiefs are 3.5 point favorites, over under 43.5. We all watched the Broncos on Thursday Night Football. Although, if you are not in that, congrats, because that game was terrible against the Raiders, one of the worst games. I mean, there were some terrible primetime games this week, but where this is not what this video is about, is ranting about primetime games. We're here to give you winners. Logan, I feel like everyone's going to be on Chiefs, which makes me want to go the other way. But then I think about what I just saw from them. I have no idea. What do you like here?
Honestly, I really don't like either of the sides. I think it's more of a coin flip game. So you know where I'm going? I'm taking the over. I think Broncos overs, outside of what you saw on Thursday night, I think they're more than not going to be a pretty good bet to take, because the books price the Broncos as a defensive first team, which they are in some sense, but they're also a team that likes to throw the ball. They like to not have long sustained drives. See, like, there's certain teams stylistically in the NFL that you said that taking an over might make you worry about. Teams like the Eagles, Packers, things like that can have these long sustained drives that just result in a field goal, and you're like, whoa, okay, like there goes half a quarter there, and all you got was 3 points. Broncos love throwing the ball. Chiefs also like throwing the ball. I mean, this Chiefs team doesn't really have a run game this year as well, and facing a divisional opponent on the road, they're going to give Denver all they want on defense. I think they're going to definitely Pat Mahomes knows how to play against Denver. It's a divisional opponent, which they dominated the last few seasons. I love the over in this game. I just think it's set a little bit too low because it's mile high. It's two really good defenses on paper. I just think the offenses shine a little bit in this one.
I do like that play, but I will be on Denver plus the points. I'm getting sharp, and man, I'm going to hate it. But I think this is a Chiefs win by 3. This is one of those patented, it's tight game. Pat Mahomes makes the plays at the end. They win. They kick a field goal and move on. So the fact I can get the hook here for a Broncos team, no one wants to bet on the Broncos right now. They you know what the Broncos are? They're last year's Chiefs. They play like garbage, but they squeak out some wins, and you're like, oh, what the hell? They're 8-2. They're 12-2. What is happening? This team's so fraudulent. But they find ways to get it done. And now you're watching this team, which is the fraudulent Broncos, meet the Chiefs, who need a win here. I think it's a tight game. I do love your over. I was going to take Broncos team total over, but I think the Broncos play them tight here. They're going to see all the things where people are calling them fraudulent for being 8-2. People just trashing them. I think they use that as motivation this week. They know it's a big divisional game. I think and they're going into their bye week here. I think they show up. So I'll roll with them. Yeah, I hate it though, but I love it. All right, Logan, second best bet of the week for you is on Sunday Night Football between the Eagles and Lions. The Eagles are currently 2.5-point favorites. The over under 46.5. We'll talk about this one in just a few minutes because we only have one more game to talk about. But I will be on the Eagles. Or no, I lied. I'll be on the Lions here. Lions on the money line.
Ooh.
I'm not. I'm tired of the Eagles. I'm tired of them. I'm tired of how they play. I'm tired of the garbage, what they do. I'm done. And when I look at their wins just don't get me going as of late. They beat the Vikings, Giants, and Packers. It just outside of a couple wins at the early of the season against like teams like the Chiefs, sure they won that game before team got going, and the Rams, but like I'm so out on them, and I don't think they can keep up with the Lions team. It's got Dan Campbell, who's going for it on every fourth down, and I'm going to back the Lions. Maybe it's a heart pick because I just want to see the Lions win, and I like their brand of football better. Maybe. But you know what? I don't care. I'm getting the Lions at plus money. I think these teams are very evenly matched. I think if they play 10 times, that each team wins 5, I'll take the Lions on the money line plus money. I don't need your dang points. I'm rooting against your Eagles. Well, not your Eagles, but
No,
your
not
town's
mine.
Eagles. Yeah, but we're rooting against them. Logan can talk about that game in just a second. Our final game of the week, Cowboys taking on the Raiders, Monday Night Football. Before we get into our best bets of the week, over under 50.5. Cowboys 3.5-point favorites. Both teams coming off their bye. Well, the Raiders are going to pretend like they're coming off their bye. That Thursday night game doesn't count as a real game. But look, what do you like here?
Yeah, I will get sharp in this spot. Standalone Monday Night Football game. I'm taking the Raiders plus the points, and normally if this was a 1 o'clock or 4 o'clock game, maybe I'm like, yeah, I'll take an over or something, just like find a way to dance around this one. But being a standalone primetime game, Cowboys is not free. Hands up, it will not be free. It will be an ugly Cowboys win at the worst, or at best a field goal type win. I can get Vegas with the field goal plus the hook. That's a good line in my opinion, because this Vegas team played hard last week. They just made so many mistakes. I mean, mistakes of any category. That's pretty much what the Raiders were doing. They just shot themselves in the foot too much. And we always talk about Thursday Night Football is an ugly product. It can have games like that where these teams are just unprepared. Now with a longer week to prepare, coming back home, I think this Raiders team is a live underdog. It would not shock me at all if Geno Smith and this Raiders offense looks good against one of the worst defenses in the league. It's really not that hard to move the ball up and down on the field on a Dallas team that just can't get off the field themselves defensively. I think that's why Vegas, once again, as they did it on Thursday, hangs around in this game, goes into the fourth quarter with a shot to win. I think Vegas is live underdogs.
I hate that I'm going to be on the Raiders with you.
Oh,
I really do. But every money line parlay ends with Cowboys ML. If you're going
right.
to Monday, no psychopath is betting Raiders. No,
No.
I get it. You watched them on Thursday night. The team looked like ass. And that's why they potentially win outright. The Cowboys sure, you traded for Quinn and Williams. I'm here to report he's not going to fix everything. Quinnen, I love him. He's a cool guy. It's not fixing everything. The problem isn't necessarily their D line. It's the dang part they can't cover anyone. And I think Brock Bowers, you want a free square, Brock Bowers, he'll have 70 yards. He will. He might have 170. I just don't. I think Geno Smith turns back the clock. He has looked bad, though. I'll give him that. He has looked really bad. But again, if there's ever a get right spot, it's against the Cowboys. So I do like points in this game. But given they have a total of 50.5, can't all come from one side. I think the Raiders put up points and they keep that one tight. A Monday night miracle, if you will. But Logan, it's our best bets of the week time. Let's dive into them. We have 2 bets, each of them. Their favorite ones on the board. We each pick 2. Again, reminder, if we go 4-0, we're doing a giveaway. All you got to do is comment down below your Super Bowl prediction. And if we go 4-0 on these, we will do a $100 giveaway. Choose one of you. Logan, I'll let you lead things off. What's your first best bet of the weekend?
Yeah, so my first best bet will be the Vikings, and I'm going to go ahead and lay the 2.5 with the Vikings. Now, if your book has 3, that's fine. Push potential on the field goal. I think they just get a decisive, bounce back win against the Bears team that, again, I'm not really sold on. Last 3 matchups the Vikings have faced versus the Bears, they've won and covered this 2.5 line in all 3 of those games. So I do like that for kind of like recency bias. We remember the first time these 2 teams played, back in September, JJ McCarthy looked pretty good. I mean, we didn't know what this Vikings team was going to be back then. He looked good against the Bears. They put up 27. They won 27-24. So again, they covered the 2.5, pushed on the 3. Again, I'll lay a little bit of juice on the 2.5 if that's what your book has, but they missed so many big plays to Justin Jefferson. I think JJ McCarthy just got one of those, like, he wanted to make everything back in one play, and that's not how the NFL works. He was seeing Lamar Jackson make plays on one side, and he's like, you know what, gotta get it all back on this play. Threw it up to Justin Jefferson haphazardly, it's intercepted. I mean, things like that, JJ McCarthy's going to learn and grow from. Now you face a very favorable matchup with the Bears, and the Bears needed sort of a miracle themselves to really pull it out last week. Against the Giants, because they going into the fourth quarter, they looked bad, and the Giants did blow it, and it led to Dayball being fired. But you can't consistently win like that, and you're not going to consistently beat good divisional opponents, if you play with your food. And that's, I think, what the Bears are going to do. Again, I don't think if this game turns into a shootout that the Bears really have the offense to keep up with Minnesota, because guys like Jordan Addison, Justin Jefferson, even they're getting Aaron Jones back in the passing game. I think the Vikings roll in this one. So I love that as my first best bet. But Austin, what you rolling with?
Yeah, I'll stick in the NFC North for my favorite pick of the weekend. One of them, I'm taking the Packers minus the 6.5. I think I saw it about minus 120 when we were recording this. Other taking on the G-Men. We already talked about this matchup. We don't think Jackson Dart's going to play. And even if Jackson Dart does play, which I honestly, right now, I put it about a 10% chance of happening with Brian Dable getting fired, team not going anywhere. There's no reason to put Jackson Dart back in there. I'm fading the Giants and Mr. Unlimited, man. Russell Wilson looks terrible. The offense, when Jackson Dart went out, they didn't have an offense. It was nasty, nasty, nasty work. And this is the Giants defense that is really the main point of why I'm fading them, because you've seen their recent games, 33 points to the Broncos, 38 to the Eagles, 34 to the 49ers. Last week, the Bears didn't look good really until the fourth quarter. They put up 24. I think 24 points from the Packers defense or offense, easy cover here. The Packers defense has been showing up. It's been the offense that is bad, but this Giants defense is really bad. They can't stop the run. They haven't been great in the past. They're dealing with a lot of injuries in the secondary, Debo and stuff like that. I think the Packers roll here. They win this game by 2+ touchdowns. I know it's big, laying a big number on the road. I don't care. This Packers team needs a win, and I think they get one in a big way, in a blowout in the Meadowlands. Give me the Packers minus the 6.5. But Logan, your second best bet of the week is?
Yeah, it's going to be, here in Philadelphia, you guys know I live in Philly. It's going to be that Eagles and Lions over. I really do like the over. Now, I mentioned there are some teams that you can be a little hesitant to take an over with, especially, given how Sunday Night Football played out last week. I mean, gosh, if you had an over, it was just dead before it started. I like an over, even though the Eagles, we saw very, very ugly game versus Green Bay. And that's, I think, where a little bit of recency bias kicks in, because you think about this Eagles team and you're like, maybe they're just conservative. They're fine winning ugly. They're fine just handing the ball off to Saquon Barkley. Well, now you're facing a Lions team that's going to turn it more into a track meet, and they're forced the Eagles to kind of get cute, take some more shots on the field, and get those explosive offensive plays, speed the game up a lot. It simply coast. You're not going to coast your way to a victory against the Lions. That's not how this Detroit offense is. They have so many playmakers. Just when you think you stopped Amon-Ra, there's Jahmyr Gibbs, 25 yards, swing pass out of the backfield. There's Sam Laporta, 20-yard seam up the middle. There's so many ways that this Detroit offense can score. And again, this Philly defense is good, but they're not they're not that elite to be able to limit Detroit in the red zone. So I think Detroit's going to put up a lot of points themselves. And I think Detroit's defense, while obviously they looked good against Washington, I mean, most teams do. Washington's so banged up. I think the Philly offense is going to still be able to put up points themselves. If you look at the Eagles' home game log, which is something I wanted to pull up, they won 38-20, absolute shootout against the Giants. Plenty of points in that one. They lost 21-17 to the Broncos, again, in Philly. And then they won 33-26, against the Rams, 24-20. All four of their home games, the opponent has put up 20 points, and then them themselves are going to be hovering in that 20-point margin as well. So I think there are going to be a lot of points anyway in this game. I think the over is a great play to satisfy all the football fans want to see some points after the absolute bum primetime games. But yeah, we got to call it what it is. Sunday night was bad. Monday night was bad. I think we finally, as football fans, get rewarded to a shootout on Sunday Night Football. Love that as my second best bet. Austin, what do you got?
Yeah, to wrap up our 4 best bets of the week, let's try to go 4-0. And I'm going to need this team to win and cover. Taking the Rams minus the 2.5 points. I know the Seahawks have been a juggernaut, but I want to fade them here. I think the Rams are the better team. I think they have the better defense and they're more overall better coach. Now, you've seen Sam Darnold looking like, I mean, the guy looks insane. He looks like the best QB of all time. However, we have seen him face this Rams team before. We saw it last year in the playoffs, if you recall. Those last final games of the season went to face the Rams. They got smoked 9-27. They faced them in the regular season last year 20-30. I think it could be they may have the script out on Sam Darnold where it's we stop the run, which the Rams have been really good at doing, and we generate pressure. And if you can get pressure on Sam Darnold, good luck, because all he's doing is really hiking and throwing it to Jackson Smith and Jigba. I think it's going to be a little bit tougher than that on Sunday. I love the Rams as home underdogs or home favorites barely. I love them. I think they win this game. Stafford's looking too good. Still not 100% sold on the Seahawks defense. They are a pretty good unit. I'll give them credit. Very good at stopping the run, but I don't think this Rams team needs to run the football. They got Devontae, Puka Nakua. Their tight ends are making plays. Heck, Kyron can make plays out of the backfield. I think Matt Stafford and company get things done at home. They win and cover in that game minus the 2.5 points. So our best bets of the week to recap them for you. Logan's on Vikings minus the points and the over 46.5 in the Eagles-Lions game. I'm on Packers minus 6.5 and Rams minus 2.5. Those are the 4 picks. We'll go 4-0. We'll do a $100 giveaway. Just let us know your favorite Super Bowl prediction, who your 2 teams are, who you think maybe wins. I don't really know. Either way, thanks for tuning in. We'll have a bunch of other videos live for the NFL on Friday and Saturday, so make sure you tap into those for all of our player props and parlays and stuff of that nature. Either way, we're out of here. We'll see you guys back in the next one. It's Austin Logan signing out. See you guys then. Peace.